Hello and welcome to part 2 in the take-up lever crank slide repair for this Husqvarna 2000 machine. It's model 6440. If you haven't seen the previous video, you could go and take a look at that, where I show how to assess the problem with the take-up lever and how to repair or replace the crank slide or take-up linkage. So the glue has set, and let's take a wee look at what we've got here. Okay, I've glued the little brass bush insert into the plastic holder there, so that's all set to reinstall into the machine. So the next thing to do is to reinstall this part back into the counterweight there, and you'll notice that there's a flat spot on this shaft here. Now that mates up with the screw that I loosened here. There is a little collar that screw pulls up, and it's got flats on it as well. So the flats on the opposite sides of the collar line up with flats on the main shaft and on this shaft here, so it's just a matter of lining those up. I'll put that back into position, and then it's really just a matter of tightening this main screw here, but whilst doing that also making sure that the counterbalance here is pushed up against the bearing so that there's no end play in the main shaft. Actually, before I go ahead and put this shaft into its position, I need to feed through the take-up lever drive shaft there into this brass bushing. Might be easier if I just take this whole kit and caboodle out. You'll see there's a little felt washer here. Now that soaks up lubricant and keeps this shaft lubricated for a lot longer than what it would if there was no felt. Little pad here that's like a little oil reservoir really. That'll just pop on there like that, and it just slides up and down like that. We'll get some oil on there. Let's soak that felt pad there. Good soaking. The other thing to do would be to lubricate this shaft here, which runs through here. Give that some oil. Some models I've seen have actual oil holes in the top of this bushing here to lubricate this. See if I can get this back in. I'm not going to get that around. Yep. Okay. Turn the wheel slightly there. Just trying to line that up. Okay. Now that's going in there now. Okay, I think that's in position. Yeah, there's a little bit of play there. That's just because the screw's still loose. I'll adjust this up later. So I'm going to push on I'm pushing the hand wheel at the other end, this direction, so towards you, and I'm pushing the counterweight in here away from you, so making sure that there's no end play in that main shaft there. And then I'm just going to nip up this screw here, and that is tightening up slowly there. Now I just want to double check that nothing's moved as far as the shaft is concerned. There's a very, very slight amount of end play there, and that's okay. Don't want that to be too tight or too loose, by the way. It's just really a matter of just having a small amount of end play there. So now we should be set just to put this linkage back on. This is the needle bar drive linkage. Put some oil onto this shaft here. Let's work that on there. Just like that. Might as well put the screw back in, remembering that this is a reverse thread. Normally you would, counterclockwise would be undo for a normal screw, but this is tighten anti-clockwise. See if I can get the screwdriver on there. Tighten that. That's good there. Something's scraping Something's not quite right there. I might have that incorrectly positioned there. Let's take that back out. Oh, I think I've got this on the wrong way. Yeah. So I've got this coming in underneath, and I think it's supposed to come in this way on top, like that. Get that back in here. Back in there. Yeah, I think that's got it. Yeah, but a little bit fiddly, but so now I'll put the take-up linkage on here, and that will determine this lateral position. I think once I get that tightened up, it's going to be okay. Got a handy dandy split screwdriver, ideal for these sorts of jobs. Just makes things a bit easier. Yeah, split screwdriver just grips the screw. Pretty handy. A bit different to a magnetized screwdriver because it grips on reasonably tightly there. It's good just for getting the screw started. Just come in here and tighten this. And the main screw here is still loose. It's in a good position there just to tighten up that main screw there. Pulling in the little collet, I think it's probably called a collet that this screws into. And the collet is like a bush, but it's tapered and it's got two flats on it. It's difficult to explain properly without showing you, but yeah, that's just definitely better. So I had the take-up drive on the wrong side there, but that's nice and free and nothing hitting there. That's good. That's what we want to see. So I've just nipped up that screw. I haven't done it really tight. It needs to be very tight. I'll use my big screwdriver again to do that once I get this other linkage here put on. And just while I do that one, I'll just put some oil in there. Okay, looking good. Yeah, there's actually probably a little bit too much end play there. I'll see if I can get rid of that end play. Loosen that a bit. Bring the hand wheel towards you. Push that back and tighten. That's better. Yeah, there's no end play there now. Or very, very minimal end play. So I'll get in here and get this really tight. Bit of turn over there. Looking good there. Sounding fine. There's nothing binding. So that's that job done really. You can see there that that's nice and tight there. There's no flopping around. Oh, I should show you putting the foot bar back in. The interesting thing about these machines is you see a few machines with plastic gears, but this one's actually got plastic needle bar bearings. I guess no need for lubrication. And there's also the lower bearing down here. That's all plastic as well. They seem to be holding out pretty well. If we have a close look at this one, there is actually a bit of a split here. And I've seen that often on this model of machine. I'm not sure whether that could ever be replaced. I don't think that's going to come apart in a hurry. I think this machine's still got plenty of life left in it. I think just for the fact that there's no parts available, no new parts anyway, I think I'd be tempted just to leave that as I say, I've never seen one fall apart even in that state, so should be all fine there. So the next part is to put the foot bar back together. So we've got our foot bar pieces. That is just a matter of making sure that the springs and the washer and this here goes back in order. So as we push the foot bar down, we'll just put the bits on in the right order there. There's the little plastic washer there, nylon washer. Maybe these parts are nylon, not plastic. Not sure, but okay. Put that part there on, and then just the little lightweight return spring goes next. That one there. Sorry about the exposure problems. I've just been having a wee play with exposure because I've found that quite often when I review my videos there's a bit of overexposure, you know, the lighter areas, but then that makes, if I set the exposure down, it makes these darker areas a little bit darker. I've had a wee play there, but yeah, trying to improve that. Okay, so while that's nice and free in there, I might just get some oil down into there. Same on the top bearing. I would just, at this stage, just a preliminary setting, I would just tighten this to start with, just to keep everything intact so it doesn't all fall to bits while the rest of the machine goes back together. Because to set this properly, we really need to you know, get the plate on. In fact, no, I think this arm here needs to go back on to do that. So we start by putting the arm cover back on, and that just sits on like that. Let's screw back in here. Let's tighten that one. Well, actually I find it's easier just to have that just tight enough for it to be able to position it, but not too loose so that it's going to move, because it needs to be lined up with the plate. So we just put the plate back on, yeah, like that, and then release the plate. Now this is lined up, we can tighten that screw down there, and then that plate will fit on. I'll attach the presser foot here. Sorry about the state of this one. It's not the one that the customer provided. She didn't actually provide a presser foot. So this is off a parts donor, so it's not been cleaned. Yeah, you may find some of the machines that I do show are quite often parts donors, or they haven't been assessed, or you know, they're just sitting in storage and they're in a bit of a state. So you know, not all the machines that I have been cleaned up perfectly, because there's no point if they're just going to be used as a parts machine. So there's two parts to this. We want to make sure that the foot bar is on the straight and narrow, and also that it's set correctly as far as the height goes. So we need to get the front panel on here, this here, and on the back of the panel there's this little U-shaped hook here, and that hooks over the back of the presser bar. So this little U shape here hooks over the top of this nylon washer here, so sort of hooks over like that on top here. And also this foot lift lever hooks in. You just have to make sure that it goes in under this bar here. And you can see if it's hooking over in the back, through the back here. It's got it there. It's just a matter of holding it in position. Just remember that the handle goes down in here as well, but I'm not going to screw this one in at this stage because I've got a problem with the mounting screw on the handle on the other end, which I need to fix, and the mounting screw goes through at the top there, goes through over here. But in the meantime, I'll get these main screws here. Just make sure this is free. Now I'm going to loosen this here. This is the clamp that we put on the presser bar earlier, which I temporarily tightened. Just going to loosen that. Need to make sure that your needle is in the down position. Also make sure that the foot here is sitting right down flat on the plate here, and that the foot is square with the feed dog teeth. Like that. And then hold that down. And then we want to tighten this clamp, but we also want to have a little bit of free play for the foot lifter. So what I'll be tempted to do is just lift, and the presser foot will want to lift with this bar here. Just lift that slightly and then just wiggle the presser foot back down here so that it sits flat on the presser bar there. You might need to give this bar a pull down and line up again, and then tighten the clamp screw whilst holding this lever here, just to keep this clamp up slightly, 0.5 millimeter or so. Also make sure that your presser foot pressure is in around about the normal position. I think that's about the 1 o'clock position here, or you could, bring it right up to its full, but about there. When you lift and release, this foot should lie flat. A good test for that is making sure that the needle's down, is to bring a piece of thread in behind where the needle would be and let the press foot down, and that should clamp the thread there reasonably tightly. If the thread is not clamped there, then this needs readjusting, and there should just be a little bit of clearance, a little bit of free play on that foot lift lever, and it should just raise and lower nice and smoothly. So that's it really. I mean, it's really just a matter of putting the faceplate back on, put the back cover back on, the side cover here, that's job done. So there we go, that's the take-up lever linkage replaced and all set back up and ready to go. So I hope you found that helpful, and thank you very much for watching.